It was just the kind of character that you don't really get to play often. She has an extremely thoughtful arc. Her journey with her brother and her journey with this world and how she saw herself in it.
Sorry, brother.
Safety meeting.
Yeah. Hello! How y'all doing? Sorry for the tardiness. My name is Emerald, that's OJ, and we are your animal wranglers today with Haywood Hollywood horses. Now, did you know that the very first assembly of photographs in sequential order to create a motion picture was a 2-second clip of a black man on a horse? Yes, it was. Yes, it was. Look it up.
I was thinking of introducing Emerald, using the dialogue, as a roadmap to tell us who the character is. Knowing how she's always wanted to be a part of the ranch in a real way, but never really was allowed to. So she probably knows this speech that her dad did like the back of her hand. They went with him everywhere. And she's performative, just like her dad, in her own way.
And I'm Emerald Haywood. I direct, write, produce, act. I do a little singing on the side.
So I just want to do it justice because it supports the evolution of who she becomes, because she grows so far from that.
For my 9th birthday, I was supposed to get the train jean jacket. But then Pops got some Western and jean jacket wasn't mine no more. Classic Otis Sr. I distinctly remember standing right here at this window watching y'all train my horse. My horse. Pops never looked up at me.
Her point of view is just connected to her family, her legacy, her need to find herself outside of it, to be validated as a person, because she never felt validated at home. And she feels like, I just need a moment. The movie and her character is driven so much through that perspective until she realizes at the end that the person that saw me was really the only person that I needed to see me. We really saw how true, real siblings love each other on film. Because they don't really say it. He doesn't always give her what she wants. She doesn't always give him what he wants. But when it came down to like life or death, they really were willing to risk their lives for one another. I was thinking about her being out trying to get that last shot, thinking that it's her opportunity to finally wrangle her first horse, or essentially her first animal in the sky, which is Jean Jacket. I definitely felt like we were making something different with this horror story. Jordan has been able to really bust open the genre and give it the kind of face that it deserves. So I just knew I was doing a Jordan Peele film. And I was going to get the opportunity to do horror and make it real and make it grounded.
There's great power in being able to control how you're revealing your creature. There's a mystery to what you're seeing that engages your imagination. You get that sense of awe and wonder. I came on the movie as Jordan was still writing his script. And our initial meeting was very focused on the design of Jean Jacket. Jordan was describing it as something that looks like a UFO, but is an animal that is able to transform. We started to talk about origamis. The form of an origami serves its function. For us, that was the source of good design. And we're like, well, this is a creature that is supposed to harness the wind. So it has to have attributes that are designed for this, that through evolution ended up with those perfect features. And the origami felt very powerful because it literally has those pleats that unfolds into shapes that open into surfaces that are like sails that are perfect to harness the wind. Now that we know roughly how it functions, how do we stage it? And jellyfish are an incredibly efficient animal. They use very little energy to move and to eat. It was really inspiring to be like, okay, the minimalism in design and the minimalism in movement is really something that is quite powerful. It makes it quite realistic. Jordan had this idea very early on that Jean Jacket would swallow up its victims in something that would look like a tornado. For us, it was a really interesting way to connect our events in the sky to the ground. We can use a helicopter just as a giant dust machine. Anytime you see dust, we really wanted to get some live elements, even if we're going to build up on top of that with CG elements, just really make it look real and grounded.
That cloud ain't moved a goddamn inch. So you're not completely full of shit.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Creating Jean Jacket was a great responsibility because you create the antagonist of the movie, but creating the skies in the film was my greatest challenge. What we're trying to do is to construct a set made of clouds. You can stage exactly how you want to reveal Jean Jacket, and also, very importantly, not make them pretty. We're trying to keep the movie grounded into as much reality as you can, and the last thing that we want is our audience to realize that they're watching a visual effect. Sound played a big part of it too. We see a glimpse of Jean Jacket here, then you hear the sound. That can't be just visual effects or just sound, that has to be a combination of the two so you can find just that right balance. The Blood Rain was a bit of the same thing, where obviously there was no way to create a giant circular waterfall, but can create a section of it. That would give us a starting point. So we were always looking for practical effects that would give us a foundation to then build up our digital effects. That specific scene happens at nighttime. Your imagination runs a little wilder because we're not showing perfectly what's going on. That was really something we embraced throughout the whole film, is trying to keep our audience engaged in completing the picture of horror. Instead of going through the traditional motion capture route, we use the process that we call focap. Basically, you can reanimate the performance because you're able to study it from many different angles. It basically gave us incredible performance from Terry that our animators could see, and all the subtlety and all those details where he could touch his sweater and spread blood on his face. And it's those few looks that you read the confusion in his eyes or the change of personality, getting that fine line of madness. Then our team of animators taking Terry's performance and translating the soul of that onto our digital chimp.
Jordan wanted to explore the idea of spectacle and the exploitation of spectacle, and he felt that this film needed to become a spectacle, which is of course a very big assignment for a cinematographer. We were trying to tell stories about a big sky that is all over us, and in its abstract vastness is just threatening. In a way, you could almost compare it to the ocean in Jaws. It's big, there's no place to hide, but that's also a little bit where the horror comes from.
OJ! It's in the cloud!
The night certainly was not about darkness and seeing and not seeing, but the night was also about space and the vastness and the size of the sky that was everywhere around you, which was a beautiful, but also at the same time, it can be a very eerie feeling. And so we very quickly realized that it was something that we wanted to feel in that film. We decided to explore day for night. Historically, that has been done before, for instance, in Lawrence of Arabia. The problem with that is cameras, they don't have the ability to capture that very little amount of light that is there. You always feel the day, and that has a lot to do with the relationships of the dark parts and the bright parts is not entirely correct. So I started flirting a little bit with a technology that I came up with in Ad Astra, which is combining an infrared camera with a film camera, precisely align them and effectively shoot two different images that both have a very unique way of capturing. And the infrared would capture for me the correct relationship between lightness and darkness, and the film camera would correct the information like color and faces. And by combining those images, we could shoot during the day, but we could tune those levels between different objects in the frame much more precise. And that is something we came up with and we started testing and loved the look of it. I was really happy about how Jordan responded to it and that we could push it that far. And I'm sure that we're going to utilize that technology a lot more in the future. The approach to that scene is very truthful to the character's experience as we felt he would see it. You witness something, but you do not always get the perfect view, but it also makes your mind fill in those gaps. And I think that can be a very visceral connection to what you're actually seeing. We originally didn't plan to shoot that sequence on IMAX, but our need to put the audience under the table with that little boy, we thought the IMAX camera was a very good way to do that. There's a whole bunch of reasons I like the large format, the sort of the best and the purest way to connect with the audience. I'm of the opinion that the scope and vastness of the landscape also exists in the intimate. I, in a way, love the challenge to utilize a format that is designed for so much wideness and so much space into a very small space and explore how that can be visceral as well. Portraits on large formats are incredible and faces get so much depth and they become landscapes in itself. Therefore, I think you feel closeness and you feel presence. It's all part of that idea of spectacle.
It's so rare you get a film where up is a perspective that is relevant, and Dolby Atmos is all about that. It was a dome of sound, really immersive environment where the nuance of the detail was actually telling you an awful lot of story.
Holy shit! Yeah!
If you get sound right, it does connect very well with an audience. Dolby Atmos is a film format of sound that's way beyond the normal stereo sound mix. You can position any sound to any particular location. In the first half of the film, we are in discovery mode of experiencing alongside OJ what on earth is happening at his ranch. So much of that story is told via sound.
Every Friday, my family and I, or witnesses to an absolute spectacle.
Strange things start to happen. We're not sure if that scream of a horse is actually maybe just wind, and then it becomes more clearly a horse scream again. The viewer's experience is listening to a horse being abducted, and we're programming them with information that they will later understand what it is they heard. But within that, we were allowed to use Dolby Atmos and clever sound design to suggest that there was this story happening. That's where you really get the payoff, because you can start being way more subtle and nuanced, as well as visceral and bombastic with your storytelling. How we present the sound of Jean Jacket in the film was in some way to have the kind of wrong kind of sound, so that we wouldn't be hearing an alien specifically, but we would be hearing the world that we are used to, but in a slightly distorted, wrong way.
God damn it. Thought I told you to fix the damn walker.
And it turned out, to our surprise, that the most interesting way of describing the mood that the monster was in or where it was actually the absence of any sound from it itself, but the way that it would disturb the environment.
The Star Lasso Experience.
Because you don't have to point the camera at the monster if you can hear it. Definitely frees up Hoyte's camera work to be way more creative. When you talk about detail in Nope, I think one of the things you're noticing is in many scenes there isn't a lot of sound. There's just really good choices of quite individual specific sounds.
Nope. Nope. Fuck this shit.
That was a scene that actually was conceived with music, but ultimately it was one of the ones where we found that the natural environment of the barn generator creating a drone and the sprinklers creating a percussive tension could create a soundscape that actually completely drove the tension in a way that was far beyond anything that music could do to tell you how to feel. And then obviously at the end of that scene, the music comes in and it resolves what's happening.
Oh, shit! Fuck off.
Don't mess with Jupiter's claim!